Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Waterloo Engineering Student Life webinar. Thank you so much for joining us and for your interest in Waterloo Engineering. Student life is an important aspect of the undergraduate experience in terms of getting involved in clubs and teams, immersing yourself in campus life, and of course, building strong relationships with your classmates and your community as well. We hope you're looking forward to learning more and hearing from our own students all about what the Waterloo Engineering Student Life Experience is about. So before we get started, I just want to share a couple housekeeping items to ensure that your experience with us today is seamless and accessible. So in terms of getting your questions answered, as many of you will have lots of questions throughout the evening, you're welcome to use our Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions that are important to you. There'll be two ways that we respond to questions. We will ensure that all your questions get answered via typed response. We've got an amazing team of staff and students who will be supporting that. But of course, we also have some time at the end after our presentations to do a panel discussion, which means we can answer your questions live as well. If at any point you've got any questions about admissions, for example, or any questions that can't get answered today, we encourage you to email enginfo@uwaterloo.ca. That's your go-to email for anything about Waterloo Engineering. So take a quick note, and you're always welcome to send us an email there. Before we begin the event, I also want to take this next moment to do a University of Waterloo territorial acknowledgement. So the University of Waterloo acknowledges that much of our work takes place on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. Our main campus is situated on the Haldimand Tract, the land promised to the Six Nations that includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. There is so much work that needs to be done, but our active work towards reconciliation takes place across our campuses through research, learning, teaching, and community building, and is centralized within UWaterloo's Office of Indigenous Relations. You are encouraged to visit native-land.ca to learn more about the land that you occupy. Thank you for sharing that moment with me. So my name is Patricia, and I'm the Marketing and Undergraduate Recruitment Specialist here at the Faculty of Engineering. I'll be sharing a little bit about student life today. However, we are so fortunate to have an amazing group of students. We've also have another recruiter joining me as well. We've got Dana, we've got Shirley, we have Carson, we've got Kate, Delaney, Angela, Clayton, and Alex. So each of these students, and Alex is an Indigenous Recruitment and Partnership Specialist who also is a staff member at the University of Waterloo. So the two of us, as well as our amazing and talented and very passionate students, will be sharing lots of information about how to get involved, what groups exist on campus, and especially highlighting some of the supports and resources that are in place. You'll be meeting some of these students during our presentation portion, as well as through our panel discussion. I want to highlight a couple important resources that you can take advantage of outside of this webinar. We've got NChat. So if you haven't ever heard of this initiative or haven't done one already, it's an easy way to connect with one of our students on a one-to-one basis. They are chats. You can decide how long in length they are, and it's a great place to get your questions answered about anything, about the admissions process, about student life, co-op, what it's like being a student in their program. So highly, highly encourage you to sign up for an NChat. Some of you may have joined us yesterday for our admissions tips and tricks webinar. You'll be pleased to hear we've got another one tomorrow evening. So if you haven't done so already, you're welcome to register for that one as well. And it's just an opportunity for you to learn more about the admissions process. And of course, here's some great tips and tricks. So yesterday's session will be posted on YouTube, but it's not too late to join us for tomorrow's session as well. One great way to stay connected and learn more about what the student experience is like, besides attending today, is to connect with us on social media. And we're lucky that we have various platforms that we're on. So pick a platform, or all of them, of course, if you're on each of them, and give us a follow so that you can learn more about our student life and just more about the faculty as a whole. So just a little bit to share some overview and highlights about student life at Waterloo. And of course, our students are coming up shortly, so you'll get to hear from them, and they'll be able to share what they love about Waterloo Engineering. But I think something important to recognize is that you are choosing a university due to a program of interest, knowing that you'll get to do co-op. And as many of you know, co-op is an integral aspect of the Waterloo engineering experience as well. But we do also really prioritize ensuring that our students have a great experience outside the classroom and immersing themselves in the vibrant community that does exist here. There is no formula to what a student has to get involved in, but there's definitely a group for you based on your interests, if it's athletics-based, music-based, or if it's being part of a community. So in terms of the types of groups that you can get involved, well, there's a list of almost 300 different groups, but something to highlight for you to keep in mind if you're interested in getting involved, which is highly encouraged when you are a student with us. There'll be opportunities within each of the faculty. So in the Faculty of Engineering, we're quite lucky. There's lots of groups to get involved in. Here are just a couple, one of the ones that we wanted to highlight, but it depends on your interest, the communities that you want to be involved in. Sometimes students pick a group based on their program that they're in. But of course, you might also choose to get involved outside of the faculty and with other types of groups, with athletics, with music groups, drama productions, or be involved in some leadership opportunities as well. I think in theory, if we were to present all the options, you would be very excited to see how much there really is here at Waterloo in terms of, again, faculty involvement and across the university. Something that our engineering students are notorious for getting involved in, of course, are design teams. There's over 20 to join. No technical experience is necessarily required as long as you are open to being committed and a part of this group. But it's obviously, and this goes to any group that you choose to get involved in on campus, it's a great way to meet others, build and develop your soft skills, your technical skills. And maybe if you do choose to get involved in a design team, you can participate in some international competitions. So lots of clubs, lots of groups, but let's get started with introducing some of our incredible students who each take a couple minutes to speak about what they love about Waterloo Engineering, what they're involved in, and some tips and advice for each of you. So we're going to start with our design teams. We unfortunately can't go through every single design team today, but we've got two special guests. We've got Dana, who's going to start us off sharing a little bit about her experiences being on the Warrior Home team. So over to you, Dana.
All right, thank you. So hey everyone, I'm Dana. My pronouns are she, her, and I am in a 4B term of civil engineering. You can just go on to the next slide. So like all my colleagues on the panel here, I was asked to be part of the panel because of my involvement in design teams, clubs, and events on campus. So right now, my major commitment is the Warrior Home design team, of which I'm currently the team lead. In past terms, I've also been involved with Global Spark, Women in Engineering, and I have been an engineering ambassador. So one of my favorite parts of the student experience at Waterloo has been orientation week. Being a first year student in orientation week is a lot of fun. And I actually met one of my best friends during orientation week way back in first year, just because we're on the same team and doing all the same activities. In upper years, I was also a leader for 3 orientation weeks. And that's also so much fun because you get to see all the internal planning of the events and you're the one really bringing the energy, which is what I love to do. One of my top tips for engineering student life is to be flexible. And by that, I mean, be open to going events you weren't planning to, or using study breaks to explore campus life. There's so many events going on constantly on campus, and many of them have free pizza, I should mention. So always take the opportunity to attend speaker panels or skills workshops or bake sales or other fun events hosted by campus clubs. You can walk through the Student Life Center at lunch and there's always something happening. And I also recommend going to the club fair at the start of term to see how many great options there are for getting involved. So to speak a little bit more about the Warrior Home design team, it's one of the many engineering design teams run out of the Cedra Student Design Center. And the team was built with the goal of educating students about building science and sustainable design. And it has grown to include community partnerships that allow us to design and build real projects. The photo that I included on top here is a photo of us actually building a home that we designed on a Habitat for Humanity site in Grey Bruce. And we did that back in the summer of 2019. And the photo on the bottom is a picture of us in the Cedra Student Design Center during an event where we laid out our floor plans with tape on the floor so we could visualize the space usage better. So the best way to get involved with design teams such as Warrior Home is a lot of them are operating virtually now. So they all have Microsoft Teams. So you can see I've included the link here, which you'll be able to join a Microsoft team once you are an actual Waterloo student. But in the meantime, you can also follow along social media accounts to see what design teams are up to. And just to conclude, I love Waterloo Engineering because there are so many ways to get involved. Like I said, there's always so many events going on, and there are always so many people to meet, especially students from other programs who have different perspectives and experiences. And finally, I really love the engineering traditions we have here, which you'll have to learn about more in the future. One tradition is worshiping our mascot, the Tool, which unfortunately in this picture I'm standing in front of, but this is a special event where we took pictures with the Tool for Valentine's Day with the Tool bearers and of course, the wonderful Engineering Society President Delaney. And that's all for me, so I'll pass it on next to Shirley.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm Shirley. I'm with the Waterloo Rocketry team and I'm in Mech 4B. All right, so I've done a pretty wide variety of stuff for the team over the past few years, but I'd say that it generally boils down to airframe and team lead, and also layup gang lead, which is just a kind of fun term that we use for the group of people on the team who work on composites fabrication. I'd say that my most memorable student experience moment was launching a rocket in New Mexico for competition. Launching a rocket is, for our team, is really the culmination of hundreds of hours of work from team members. And also a few days out in the hot desert, assembling the rocket, putting the launch tower up, getting our rocket safetied and checked by the judges before we can launch it. So it was just a really, really great moment. On the left, bottom left here, you can see a bunch of us celebrating right after we launched in 2019. And just above that, that's a picture of us with our nose cone that we made for our 2019 rocket. Top tips for engineering student life. First of all, take care of yourself, both physically and mentally. And also enjoy undergrad while it lasts, because this is one of the few times that you'll be surrounded by such a large number of students who are really passionate about their interests. So just enjoy it while you can. All right, a bit about our team. Our main objective is to provide learning experiences to engineering students. And what we do is we design, manufacture, test, and also launch high-powered rockets. Right now, we're working on a hybrid rocket and also developing a liquid engine prototype in parallel. And last but not least, we're a group of friends that like to have fun together. So briefly, how to get involved. It's pretty straightforward. Just head to our team website. On the join page, there's a sign-up form that you can fill out. Once you fill that out, we'll add you to our Slack workspace, and from there, just start asking questions and volunteering for projects. All right, just briefly what I love about Waterloo Engineering. I really like the variety of learning opportunities. I definitely learned a lot of stuff that over the past few years that I wouldn't even have heard of otherwise. The amount of support that faculty has for specifically student teams as well as students themselves, and the diverse and interesting people that I've gotten to meet here.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Shirley and Dana. I'm impressed. I'm amazed. They're both been up to building not just rockets and houses, but also providing some mentorship and learning experiences to the student body. So fabulous work. And I don't know if I have the technical skills to be involved, but I hope you're welcome, ready for myself to join each of your groups. Thank you so much. On to the next section of groups that we want to highlight. Our next section is focused on leadership, community building, and groups that you think of that you might be able to relate to in a high school setting as well. So our first speaker in this section is Carson, so I will share the floor with you. Go for it.
Hi everyone, my name is Carson, my pronouns are he, him, and I am the president of the Engineering Society. I am currently in my co-op term between 2A and 2B for Tron. Awesome. So I have had a varied experience at the University of Waterloo in multiple different fields. The main thing that I spend the most amount of my time in is events. Outside of the Engineering Society, I, in my first term, joined Midnight Sun, another design team which designs and builds solar cars. Lots of fun, lots of different aspects of design that you can work on and join, either from mechanical to the batteries to software. And there's a lot of it was a lot of fun jumping in and learning a whole lot more than I had before. I also spent a lot of time doing a lot of sports, especially within the intramural side of the school. I do everything: bouldering, soccer, ultimate, disc golf, and I have a good time fitting these in around my other extracurriculars and my courses. Easily the most memorable part of school was purpling and orientation, especially as a leader. Last orientation, of course, was online, and so we had to find new and fun ways to bring that sort of spirit and energy to the school. And so me and a group of my friends and roommates, who are all leaders, purpled ourselves from head to toe and started walking around campus saying hi to a bunch of the first years in the area, which was lots and lots of fun. My top tip for engineering student life is making sure you take time for yourself, whatever that looks like. It will look different for each and every person. If that is giving yourself an hour a day to sit and read a book, if that is going to play sports and intramurals, or working on design teams, making sure you have that time for yourself to unwind from school is very important. To talk more about the Engineering Society. The Engineering Society is a big group of students that represents everyone, everyone in engineering. So we represent engineering students on many different issues, either and talk through these issues and vote on these issues to make sure that students have what they need. At the same time, we provide many services to engineering students, whether that is resume roast to help build up your resume for applying for co-ops, as well as the coffee and donut shops that we run in a few of the buildings. Past that, we run so many events throughout the term. You'll find pretty much an event every other day. Events like NCHAC, which is our hackathon that we run in the summer. We have game nights most nights, as well as Genius Bowl, which is our fun trivia night. Good way to get involved with the Engineering Society is become a student rep. Represent your cohort at our council meetings, bring your voice to the issues that engineering students have and find, and bring the special insight that you have. You can apply to hold a directorship, which is directorships help run our events, help run our services, and help keep us as a society going. More than welcome to join the Discord as soon as you come as a student, to help learn of what's going on around the school, and come out to events. They're hosted all the time. They're a lot of fun. And that's it for me. Oh, no, it's not. I have one more slide. A lot of my favorite things within Waterloo Engineering are the traditions. I love the tool. I love having it come out to events, which is our 60-inch chrome-plated wrench. Purpling is always fun. As you can see, there's me being purple during my transition to president, as well as coveralls. Coveralls are a fun way to express yourself at engineering events, and collecting and trading patches and collecting and trading parts of coveralls is always fun. The sense of community within the school is amazing. It's something that brings me back to events, brings me to different teams. It's a lot of fun. And there's an immense level of opportunities for everyone. No matter what your interests are, you will find a group that shares those interests, and probably the most exciting thing. Thank you. I'm going to pass it on to Kate.
All right, thanks, Carson. So my name is Kate. My pronouns are she, her. I'm currently in my 4B term of electrical engineering, and I'll be talking about program societies. So on to the next slide. All right, so my involvement at Waterloo has been kind of all over the place. I've been in ECE, or Electrical and Computer Engineering Society. I'm also in Engineering ambassadors. I've been involved in Orientation Week, Women in Engineering, and the IEEE student branch, which is rather specific to ECE. My most memorable student experience is definitely Orientation Week, both as a first year and as a leader, where I was able to be welcomed to the Waterloo engineering community and later on do the welcoming to incoming first years. My top tip for engineering student life is to definitely explore new interests and step out of your comfort zone. Do things that you typically wouldn't do. This is a very transformative time in your life, and there's lots of support and resources available to you. Next slide, please. All right, so I'll be talking about Electrical and Computer Engineering, or ECE Society. I was actually one of the co-founders, and this is specific to the ECE department. And other departments have their own societies. For example, like software or civil, environmental, and geological engineering have their societies as well. So our mission is to promote a sense of community and unity among ECE, and we offer support to ECE students in 4 major areas: social, academic, professional, and technical. So what that looks like varies. For example, we host game nights, so you get to know your classmates in upper years better. We also offer resume critiques tailored to your program, as well as webinars or seminars and panels from companies that hire ECE students or from professors to share their research. So all in all, we just try to make life better for students in our department. In order to get involved, you can check out our Facebook page, where we typically post links and information there, as well as our website, which is listed below. Next slide. All right, thank you. What I love about Waterloo Engineering, I think the first thing I love is the strong sense of community within Waterloo Engineering and my program. So the cohort system at Waterloo lends itself to that very strongly, where we pretty much take classes with the same people for 5 years. There's also lots of opportunities for growth and development. And finally, awesome peers, and the staff and the faculty and the professors are incredibly supportive, and everyone's really rooting for your success here.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Carson. I think you've highlighted both 2 different types of groups that are super important for our future students to be aware of. The Engineering Society, which represents all engineering students, and that within each program or department, there are individual program groups as well. Awesome, awesome, awesome. We're going to move on to our final section of groups that we want to highlight today that focus and support diversity in engineering. And our first speaker is Delaney, so over to you.
Thank you. Hey everyone, my name is Delaney. I use she, her pronouns. I am currently in my 4B, last and final term of mechanical engineering, and I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the Women in Engineering Committee. So a little bit about me to start. I have had the opportunity to get involved in a ton of different things around campus, each one getting in some new experience. So I've been involved with the Engineering Society, Engineering Ambassadors, Orientation, and Intramurals. Basketball and Ultimate Frisbee is where it's at, in my opinion. But right now, I think the thing I'm most heavily involved in is Women in Engineering. When I'm reflecting a little bit about my student experience, I think one of my favorite memories was definitely during Orientation Week 2019. So it was my 2nd year as a leader, and a couple other people have talked about engineering traditions already. One of my favorite traditions is purpling. And I just remember showing up on campus wildly early in the morning to get all of the purpling equipment set up, and just having streams and streams of leaders and of first years just all showing up to participate in the tradition together. Everyone was super hyped, helping like their peers purple, helping other students purple, writing their programs on their arms, down their legs. It was a ton of fun, and I think the energy for 6 a.m. in the morning was fantastic. My biggest tip for anyone going into engineering is to make time for the things you're passionate about. School is going to be hard, that's okay, but carve out time to do the things you enjoy, whether it's getting involved in a club, taking some time for you, or just pursuing that project that you're really interested in. Life's too short to spend your time on things you don't enjoy, so carve out some time to do the things you really care about. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about women in engineering. So right off the bat, I just want you all to know that as a group, we use an inclusive definition of women. This includes trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming, anyone identifying as a woman in a way that's significant to them. Of course, any allies are also welcome to come out to any of our events or to any of our initiatives. This group is about women supporting women and creating a space for women to connect with each other. We run events, just fun times to hang out. We try to foster and create mentorship opportunities, connecting younger year students with upper years. Sometimes there's opportunities to connect with grads or other like graduated mentors. And we also do a lot of outreach to the community. That's the part that I'm the most involved in. So getting to reach out to high school students, which is a ton of fun. The best way to get involved with our group is to honestly follow us on Instagram. We post all of the updates of what we're doing, what we're up to right on our Instagram. Any of the links you need to follow along with our newsletter or join our Discord are going to be found on our Instagram. I think that a place I really like to get involved with is the Discord because that's a spot you can connect with other female or women identifying students. And last, what I love about Waterloo engineering, the number one thing for me has always been the community. Waterloo has honestly become my home away from home. And it's the people who I've met here that have made all the difference in my undergrad experience. Regardless of what you're interested in, you're gonna find a group of passionate people who overlap with you in some way. And the Waterloo engineering community specifically is one of the strongest that I've ever seen. Of course, a lot of people come to Waterloo for the co-op. That's why I chose to come to Waterloo. I think the adventure aspect of getting to move somewhere new, work a completely different job and immerse yourself in a different industry or a different company culture and a different type of work has been a ton of fun. I like to approach each 4-month period as like a whole new start, and just when I focus on it like in an adventure, it makes it so much more exciting and easy to like pack up my things and begin moving. I also really appreciate the cohort. A lot of the pictures on this slide are actually of my cohort. So that giant picture on the bottom is the NEC 8 Stream 2022 class. The picture of the 6 people on the bridge wearing leather jackets. Those are some of my best friends from my cohort. I really appreciate the fact that every 4 months when I come back from a co-op term, I'm coming back to the same group of people. You don't have to worry about like going away on co-op and then coming back and not knowing anyone on campus. You always come back to your cohort. You're going through classes with people who are going through the exact same thing as you, whether it's a hard exam or a set of practice problems you need some guidance on. Your cohort has your back, and I think I've always been able to rely on my cohort if I've ever had any questions or concerns. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'd now like it to pass it over to Angela.
Hi, everyone. My name is, oh, well, I'll wait for the slide to load. There we go. My name is Angela, and I am the current president of Bee Society for the National Society of Black Engineers at Waterloo. And I also was involved with EngiQueers for a while. So those are the 2 clubs that I'm going to talk about today. I just finished my 3B term, so I'm in the middle of 3B and 4A. I'm currently on my co-op, and I use she, they pronouns. So in terms of my student experience at Waterloo, I've actually been pretty lucky to have done a lot throughout the years. For example, in my first year, I was very involved in the African Students Association. I was also the biomedical engineering class rep with another one of my friends. And as school went along, I was one of the founding members of the National Society of Black Engineers, which was now 3 years ago. And I am also on the student council as your engineering counselor and representative. So if you ever have questions about that as well, you can definitely let me know. And I was also a former vice president of EngiQueers. So definitely have been having a lot of fun while I've been here. I've also been involved in just doing some sports for fun. I'm not very great at it, but I'm trying. For example, on the right, there's a picture of me and my friends who are in volleyball. Our volleyball team was called Volley BME because we're all in BME and we don't have creative name skills. And in terms of design teams that I did, in my first year, I was part of the Biomechatronics Club, which was actually really fun. A really memorable student experience I had was the picture on the bottom right, which was when there was a paint night that was organized at the university, which was really fun. I went with my friends. It was like a Bob Ross themed thing. And that was like my first time actually ever painting. And since then, I've been painting a lot just because I don't know, it just brought out this like painting spirit in me, which I really liked. And a top tip that I would definitely share is that it's not too late to get involved no matter your past experience. I was not really an involved person in high school. It didn't really interest me. But for some reason, as soon as I got to university, I had this spark of confidence that kind of allowed me to think about kind of pursuing leadership roles. So don't think that just because you didn't do much in high school that you can't start anything now. It is never too late. Next slide, please. So in terms of the National Society of Black Engineers, what we do is we foster an active community to help support the academic and professional success of our Black engineering students. So the way that we do that is by, of course, creating a communal and supportive space, advocating for the well-being of other Black engineering students, and of course, providing development and growth opportunities in terms of mentorship, study sessions, and theme speaker series. We often have speakers or professionals come from companies who are interested in hiring Black students and ensuring that that diversity is reflected in their company. So that's something that we value a lot. And like Delaney was saying, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be a Black student to be part of NISB. It is an open environment, and at the end of the day, our goal is just to support Black students, but we are open to everybody. A picture on the right is actually from one of our, it was like a fun hall day. It was back in 2020, right before the pandemic started. So it was really nice to hang out and have pizza and hang out and kind of just chill with each other. In terms of how to get involved, you'll find all of our links in our Instagram as well. There's a link tree in the bio, which I also wrote on the slide there. And our Discord will be found at bit.ly/NISB Discord. If you ever want to reach out to us, you can do that on there. And if you want to reach out to me personally about pursuing any leadership roles, that is also possible. And I will be happy to help. In terms of ENGIqueers, what we do is kind of similar. It's but except, of course, targeted towards LGBTQ plus students. What we aim to do is connecting these students in a fun and safe space. Before the pandemic, we always met in Poets, which was pretty nice and fun because there's couches and you can just hang out and chill. But now we do so virtually, usually on Discord, and we tend to play games, we watch movies, we'll paint together, we'll do crafts. Like it's a very chill environment. So on Monday evenings, just after, well, nobody really likes Mondays. So after that long Monday, you can come to ENGIqueers and have some fun, play some games. In terms of how to get involved, in order to not out anybody, of course, there's an anonymous sign up. All you have to do is email engiqueers@enstock.uwaterloo.ca, and they will help set you up in the Discord and in the Slack and make sure that you're up to date with everything that ENGIqueers is doing. In terms of what I love about Waterloo Engineering, very similar to what other people said, is the community. I am so happy and blessed to be surrounded by so many intelligent and inspirational individuals. I'm very happy to be in the cohort that I'm in because everybody is super friendly, always willing to help, and they always have such great ideas. I've also had the ability to travel while in school. Just this past summer, I did my co-op in Calgary, which is pretty interesting. I've never been out west, and I think that it's an environment that really helps foster innovation, professional growth, and opportunity, especially academically and also personally. That comes with supportive faculty, supportive friends, and just lots of things around you. But I think the most important part is that this is an environment that really helps values your creativity and really helps in terms of innovation and getting your ideas out here. Because after all, ideas start here. So that's it for me. And if you ever need to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm at Angela Souza. But otherwise, thank you so much for listening about NISB and ENGIqueers. And I'm going to pass this on to Alex.
Alex, sorry to interrupt. You're on mute. We have to do it once this webinar, right?
It's a classic virtual mistake. We've made it all. I apologize. I was just saying, listening to everybody is incredible. Just getting to listen to all the opportunities, that the students have and how much of an impact it's made on their experiences is incredible. From rocketry, the solar car to purpling, it all sounds amazing. And myself, starting 2 months ago, I'm still learning all of this. And I don't know about anybody listening, but this stuff gets me excited and makes me want to go back to university. So it's just incredible to hear. But I'll start with, my name is Alex Degagne. I go by he, him. I am a band member from Northwest Anglo 37. I am here to talk about Indigenous recruitment and engineering. So my title at Waterloo is the Indigenous Recruitment Partnership Specialist. Next, please. Thank you. So what can I do to support you? I'm going to support you throughout this entire process, whether that's just starting out with the applications, whether that's any admissions questions you might have, or coming up to the end, you don't know how to fill out a certain form or how to write this essay, or if you need some help, my door is always open, my email is always open, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have. And that comes with one-on-one support. And being able to reach out anytime you need some help, because after all, this is a long process. Everybody has questions. I know it was tough for me going through this process, and I just want you to know that you're not alone in this. It's tough for everybody, and we're here to make that transition to Waterloo as smooth as possible for you. Another support we offer is our WISC. Our WISC can walk you through anything from, traditional cultural values to connecting you with our elders, or just talking to you about the community on campus and what they have to offer, and how that kind of relates to what you're going through. Our director, Jadam Hunt, is an excellent resource to talk to. She can tell you anything about Waterloo, about the Student Center, as well, as she's been here far longer than me, which I've only been here for 2 months, like I said. So she is a wealth of knowledge. And that comes back with, emailing me, and I can get you in touch with all of these people as well. So it's a one-stop shop, and you're getting that personalized experience. Something that we also encountered when talking with students and looking over some of our data, we came up with a voucher program. Now, what is a voucher program? We understand that some of the barriers to, applying to university are financial barriers. And one way that we try to, help you over that barrier is by coming up with our voucher program. Our voucher program is essentially, you're going to apply, it costs money to apply to universities. We essentially make that free when applying to the University of Waterloo, which is great, because if some of you have gone through this application process or getting ready to go through it, it can be expensive. So we want to eliminate that for you. Tips I have for Indigenous applicants is stay organized. You're going to get a lot of emails. You're going to get a lot of information thrown at you. Don't worry, stay calm, take a deep breath. Make sure you're writing everything down. You're on top of your application. You know what is coming up. And again, if you have any of those questions and you don't know what's coming up, or you need to know a date, my email's at the bottom. Feel free to reach out. I'm an open person. I'll help you out no matter what. Ask questions. Always ask questions. Even if you think, oh, that's the stupidest question I could think of, and why would I ask that? Ask it. It's better to know than to not know. Visit campus. This is a huge tip that I always give whenever I'm out recruiting, talking to Indigenous students. Visit campus. I can't say it enough. It's always good to see the environment you're going into, the buildings. Go to some of the classrooms. Sit in on a classroom is an option. Visit some of the buildings, see what they offer. Go check out the swag, see if you like that. Go check out the athletics. Go talk to some people at athletics. Go talk to the people in the programs you're going to. It gives you that opportunity to immerse yourself on campus and know what you're getting into, and really feel that, is this really a home away from home for me, and something that I can see myself going to? And you're only really going to understand that if you're coming to campus and visiting. And my contact information is at the bottom. So again, if you have any questions, reach out. So some of the resources we have available are the WISC, like I was talking about before. Provides a safe environment for our Indigenous students. They love to go there to chit chat, meet other Indigenous students, talk about what they're doing. And it's just a great opportunity to meet friends and really expand your horizons and know what kind of clubs they're going into, and oh, what classes are you taking? And this is how I'm going. And it really establishes that community. And that's what we really want to, show to all of our Indigenous students. This is a home away from home and a community. And some of the ways we can do that is through our elders. They can talk to you about anything that's going on. Maybe you're having troubles at school, personal, whatever it may be. I know personally I've sat down and had lunches with them. They are full of wisdom. They answer all the questions. They're easy to talk to. They're amazing individuals. And I implore you to check that out. And we also do cultural traditions as well, whatever your community, wherever you come from, may organize or whatever they may do. We are here to support you through that process, and we're going to support you through whatever cultural traditions you uphold. Myself, I like to go to the WISC and get a smudge once in a while, as it helps me cleanse, helps me take a deep breath, helps me get ready for my week. Now, we have our Indigenous Initiatives Office, which is separate from the WISC, as it is a new undertaking from Waterloo, but just as important. And we are trying to create spaces. So what we're doing is we're trying to create another student center on main campus as well, where we can go, where we can smudge, where we can, all of our resources are going to be available, meaning counseling is going to be held there. Myself, recruitment will be around there. Anything that you might need. And that transitions to the next point, building resources. So it's one thing to apply to the school and come here, but how are we supporting you? With Indigenous Initiatives, we are continuing to build on top of those resources and make sure that when you're here on campus, you're going to be supported throughout this whole process and make it as easy as it can be while you're here on campus, through everything that we offer. We're also building a community. Indigenous Initiatives, the main thing that we want to focus on is we're building a community for you. We know that coming from your communities, wherever that may be, it's a tough process. It's tough to leave home for anybody. And this is what we want you to feel comfortable here. We want you to know that there are people you can talk to. And we want you to know that there are tons of students in the same position as you that went through the same things that are there to talk to as well. And how are we continuing to build that community? Is through groups and through societies, such as the American Indian Science and Engineering Society, which is our Indigenous Science, Math, and Engineering Society. But it just goes to show that there are so many opportunities out there for you to continue building your friends, relationships, building your group and expanding your own personal community while, making sure that you're happy here on campus. Next. And I guess it's up for questions, but I just want to leave you with one last thing is university is what you make of it. I think all of our students here can attest that they've gone out there, they've put themselves out of the comfort zone, and they've really given it their all. And it is what you make of it. And if you want to have fun and you want to join classes and groups, it's going to be an amazing time. And from what everybody has talked about, they're extremely passionate students for what the groups that they talk about. And hopefully they can in turn, welcome you into their groups as well. And you can enjoy everything that engineering offers and everything that Waterloo offers. So thank you so much, Patricia. I really appreciate it. And I will pass it back to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Delaney. The three of you covered such important resources, community opportunities that exist within the groups that each of you are leading or facilitating. It's so amazing that all the work that yourselves are doing and your teams to create these safe and inclusive spaces for our students. So that concludes our presentation portion of this evening. We hope you learned a little bit more about some of the design teams that are available, some leadership opportunities that you'll have. Clearly, orientation seemed to have been a hot topic amongst our panelists, as that being a very special moment for them as they were entering university, but also if they had the opportunity to lead and give back to future students as well. And of course, we just concluded our chat with Alex, who's able to share some really important resources for Indigenous students. So we are going to say goodbye to Alex for the remainder of the evening, but we are going to have Clayton, who is very heavily involved in the ACES group. So we're excited to have him join our panel discussion, which is going to be how we'll dedicate the rest of our time. But before we do that, just a quick reminder, questions are still being encouraged throughout the rest of the event, and you're always welcome to reach out to us through enginfo@uwaterloo.ca. So on this note, thanks so much for tuning in to the presentation. I invite all of our incredible students to the stage. I am so inspired, so amazed. I don't know how each one of you is involved in like 10 clubs. You're taking on leadership opportunities. You're traveling the world for your co-op. You're making time for mentoring first-year students. You are building communities. You are applying for jobs, yet doing well academically. So a big round of applause. We are so thankful that students such as you do exist, and it's been so incredible to very much hear your experiences. So thank you. For all of our other panelists, feel free to join us as well so that we can get to answering some questions from our live audience. Perfect, I think we've got everybody. We're just missing Clayton, and we can get started. So I'm going to I've got lots of questions for the group. We have so many questions that have come up throughout the evening as well, but I'm going to tap on a couple of you for various questions just so we can respond to as many as possible throughout the rest of the session. So Kate, I'm going to throw the first question to you. So my first question is, what is the most rewarding aspect about being involved in a club and team?
Right. I'd say the most rewarding aspect is definitely meeting people outside my program and also learning skills that I typically wouldn't acquire through my coursework. So for example, I get to meet students in other engineering programs through all of these extracurriculars. And like I said previously with the cohort system, we're usually with the same group of people for 5 years. So it's nice to branch out. And as well, there's so much variety in all the student life activities that get offered that I get to expand my leadership skills, my teamwork skills, and all those wonderful things that really contribute to my career.
Amazing. No, that's so great to hear, especially about the cohort piece and how exactly you build so much community within your programs, but getting involved in clubs and teams also allows you to interact with students outside of your program as well. Delaney, the next question is going to you, and it's about work-life balance. So how is your work-life balance, as in how have you handled your studies, being immersed in extracurricular activities, co-op, social life, and more? So our audience here is curious to hear these secrets, because each one of you has shared so many things that each one of you do on a day-to-day basis. So Delaney, tell us a little bit more about work-life balance and what that looks like.
A little bit of trial and error and a lot of figuring out what works. I think the best way to build a work-life balance is to start slow. You can't come in and just like sign up for every single club. That would be nice, but you won't have time for that. My biggest advice is to start small and add things as you get more comfortable with the balance. So for me, like I started off with just a few things, built it up throughout my degree. I think having a reliable calendar, having a way to track your tasks, and also making sure that you regularly check back in on your coursework to make sure that there's nothing you're missing is the best way to go. No one has perfect time management, and it's okay if you make a mistake with how you manage your time, as long as you figure out what to do better next time. If you take on too much at once, Panic at the Disco, and then be like, all right, I have too much on my plate. What am I going to push off to the side this week? What am I going to ask a friend to like help share the workload on? And I think if you take that approach, you'll find that you have way better coping skills with your time management and just a better understanding of how you operate.
Perfect, Delaney. That's fabulous advice. I'm seeing our panelists nod their heads in agreement in terms of some of the notes that you shared. Fantastic. We've got Clayton who joined us. Clayton, I'll be coming to you shortly to get you to introduce yourself to our audience today. But I'm actually going to go over to Dana and Shirley next, as you both shared some of your awesome work that you do on your design teams. But sometimes students get intimidated by oh my goodness, do I need to have lots of technical experience to succeed in these environments? So the question that I have for both of you, and we'll start with Shirley, is how have your experiences within the classroom equipped you to succeed in the technical club environment?
Yeah, so first off, I guess to answer your question, first of all, directly, is especially in like later years, coursework does tend to have a lot of relevance on design teams. And like also you got to remember that design teams are like the projects that the teams do are driven by students. So if there is something that you're learning about in coursework that you want to apply on your team, then there's generally not going to be anything stopping you from doing that. Also, I'd like to point out that I found personally that a lot of the stuff that I did on the team actually helped me with my coursework, not the other way around. So I just found that to be pretty interesting.
I love hearing that you think it's classroom to club, but your club experience can be transferable back to what you're learning in the classroom as well. Awesome. And Dana, over to you. Do you have anything to add about this?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking almost the exact same thing that Shirley just said. My design team, Warrior Home, was founded because civil engineers don't really get to learn about building science until 4th year. So a lot of the technical content, we learn it through the design team before we learn it in class. So now I'm taking an introduction to building science course in 4th year, and I'm getting a lot of inspiration from it on like how I can better mentor younger students. But I've learned the technical content already because of these design workshops and design charrettes and different activities we hold on the design team. So yeah, I guess that's just a really interesting question that it kind of flipped around.
Awesome, and that's great to hear the piece that you're mentioning, how your group was designed based on the in-class experience and wanting to get our students that hands-on experience much earlier during their undergrad as well. Awesome. So Clayton, welcome. Our audience hasn't gotten the chance to meet you just yet, so I just want you to take this opportunity to introduce yourself, say hello, and maybe share a little bit about the group that you're representing today.
All right, sounds good. Hi, everyone. My name's Clayton. I am electrical engineering, class 2022. My pronouns are he, they, and I am currently the co-president of the AISES U Waterloo chapter. So AISES, American Indian Science and Engineering Society. They're a wonderful organization that has lots of resources and connections and networking for Native students in STEM fields. I use quotations because they use STEM very loosely and include other programs as well. Yeah, and I've had a lot of fun being involved with them. I've been to some of their conferences. Actually, this past September, I went to their American National Conference in Phoenix. That was a lot of fun. And they also have Canadian conferences. I've been to one previously in Saskatoon, and there's one upcoming this March in Vancouver. Very exciting to go to those things.
Amazing. That's fabulous. Thank you so much for introducing yourself, Clayton. And I do appreciate you speaking about the conference piece. And I think that's something that's obviously unique to your group. And I know other students as well and other groups get to participate in conferences, and really appreciate that aspect of the group that they get to be involved in, that you can participate in competitions, conferences, hackathons, case competitions, whatever it is. There's ways to take what you're doing in your group and expand it elsewhere as well. So awesome. We're so happy to have you. Angela, the next question is coming your way. It's a tricky one because it's and I'm purposely asking you because you had a long list of involvement here. So is there a magic number for how many clubs and curriculars that first year students can maybe participate in? Do these groups, do they ever interfere with some of your scheduled classes? What can you speak about that?
Definitely when I was in first year, I was a bit of an overachiever and I was like, I'm going to do absolutely everything because I went to clubs day and there was literally like 7 clubs that I signed up for on that day because there were so many cool ones and I was like, this is awesome. I want to be involved in everything. And at some point in the term, like my friends, they had like a running joke of like, oh, Angela can't come. She's at a UASA meeting right now because I was consistently like running between places, doing things like for that African Students Association. So definitely I would say that like, kind of like Delaney said earlier, it's pretty important to do like the kind of trial and error thing because you don't really know what you can handle until you try. Definitely my first year was when I tried doing a lot of things and I was like, wait, this is kind of impossible, and scaled down a little bit. And I think that since then I've been able to actually be more active in an efficient manner because I can actually like commit more time to the clubs that I care about rather than like trying to divide myself into 8 places. So definitely I would say that it's pretty doable to like kind of combine the two when you're in first year, but definitely like don't feel like you got to go super fast because I know there's a lot of really cool and interesting stuff out here. Yeah, just take your time and kind of see what you like, and also take the time to kind of go to like each club's like introductory session and just hear the information about that club and see if it's something like, oh, okay, I can actually stick with this versus maybe you're like, oh, okay, maybe actually this isn't totally what I'm into. So yeah.
Great stuff. I love the piece of trial and error, right? You gotta, sometimes you're excited about too many groups, so to narrow down the list, you got to give some a try, and as you get into your upper years, you can condense it based on the ones that you want to commit to. So yeah, there's definitely no magic number. I think our audience would agree that it really is to each their own. So in your first couple years, you might just be exploring and learning, and once you find the groups that you're passionate about, that's where you're going to want to commit a bit more. But typically they are off hours groups, so it's not like you'd be expected to miss a midterm or anything like that, of course, to participate in your group. So, and I know each of you have evening meetings, weekend commitments with some of your clubs and teams as well, but you enjoy it, which it doesn't end up being a bad thing. Carson?
Like there's not going to be any time, since it is student run, like there's not going to be anything scheduled during classes because everybody knows like we all have classes. So definitely don't worry about like you having to miss class for clubs. Chances are that's not really going to happen. So
absolutely. No, perfect. Thank you so much, Angela. I really appreciate that sentiment. Carson, you talked a little bit about orientation, and as the Engineering Society president, we know that you and your group is involved in that. So as orientation is not a group that we got to kind of highlight, is there anything that you want to share with our future students about maybe what to expect with orientation week in terms of being welcomed, and how do they go about being welcome? What is the magical work that your team gets to do?
Orientation is an amazing, fun week right before the start of school, and it gives you time to meet many students within your year and within many different programs. And orientation will teach you everything from the traditions within engineering, as well as all the opportunities that are there for you, and kind of gives you that kind of extra boost and kind of kickstart to figure out what the engineering community is to you, because there's many different aspects of it, and depending on who you are and what you are like, you will find a different group that fits you better. Orientation is where I met a bunch of my friends within the Engineering Society. They pulled me in, and I slowly became more and more involved with it, and so that was my main start to be come where I am here today. Yeah.
Perfect. No, it's the beginning part of your Waterloo engineering experience. So orientation is absolutely something to look forward to, and hopefully we got our audience excited if they will be joining us this September. I'm going to ask a couple of you this question just to get a couple perspectives. Dana, I'll start with you. How would you describe in just a couple words the Waterloo engineering culture? One of our audience members is curious to hear some of your thoughts around that.
I would say that everyone in Waterloo engineering is really different. Like you can even see on this panel here, everyone has a really different experience of what they've done, like a combination for me of women in engineering, engineering ambassadors, design teams, clubs. Like I've done it all, but everyone else here has also done an equivalent amount of totally different things. And there's a lot of overlap. Like I've worked with Kate and Delaney in Women in Engineering. I've seen Carson in Orientation Week and Engineering Society. So you meet different people through different events. I guess that's all I can say. Like everyone is super unique and your experience is going to be totally different from anyone else's.
Love that, and love that some of you know each other just through your own experiences being involved in campus. Awesome. Kate, how about yourself? How would you respond to what the engineering culture is like here?
I'd say the engineering environment's incredibly supportive. What I mean by that is that everyone wants you to succeed. There's whether you have an idea or you want to start a club, for example, Electrical and Computer Engineering Society didn't exist when I started. And me and a group of my friends actually came together. We went to the faculty and we were like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had that? And, you know, the administration supported us, our peers supported us. There's just so much incredible support for all the endeavors going on here.
Wonderful. Kate, I don't know if you have this on your LinkedIn profile, but you have to have this term CEO, right? You're a founder of one of our groups. So that's phenomenal. It's great that you were able to feel that support when you were trying to start a group here on campus.
Sure,
Angela and
yeah.
Delaney, the next questions are going to the both of you as you both are very involved in some very special groups on campus with NSBE, ENGIqueers, and Women in Engineering. A lot of your groups have mentorship programs. Can each of you speak to what that looks like in your groups and yeah, what especially that looks like for first year students? So Angela, let's start with you and then we'll head over to Delaney.
Sure. I actually started out as the mentorship lead at NSBE 2 years ago. So in mentorship, like that whole portfolio is kind of like my baby. In terms of mentorship, the way that we've kind of been doing it, before we kind of had like a one-on-one setting, but then we realized that the university has so many one-on-one settings, like you said before, with Eng chats, and I know EngSoc also has like mentorship that where you can interact with one other person. So we kind of try to do a different approach, which is where we do upper year chats. So we'll have upper year students who kind of are able to use like their skills and experiences and kind of just like what they've learned throughout their time at Waterloo Engineering to kind of do a session. Usually we do it like on Instagram Live, and anybody can just join in and people can ask questions, and people, upper year students are able to like provide advice and just kind of give their experience as a Black student and as a Black professional in society, and just kind of inform people of what they go through on their day-to-day life. So it's pretty awesome and really helpful because we have new people doing these presentations every month. So of course, everyone's going to have a different experience. And it's really awesome to see like the people that you probably saw in the hallways when you were in first year be so awesome and successful and do so much hard work. It's really amazing to see and to hear from other people, and it's inspiring. So definitely it's something that I would recommend for any student looking for mentorship. Especially any Black students, definitely come to NSBE and we will find something for you.
And Delaney?
That's awesome. I think talking a little bit about the Women in Engineering mentorship, the whole point of the program is just to have like a younger year or anyone at any grade level, just to any year level, I guess, be paired with someone who's either an upper year or someone in industry who has had a little bit of time in the field. It's nice to just have the chance to learn how someone navigated getting a job or navigated the work environment or navigated just navigated being a gender minority in STEM in general. So those conversations, it's just a nice close-knit one-on-one environment for you and your mentor to chat any questions that you have, any experiences to share. We also try to do a lot of, or a couple of panel and community events so that you can learn from people who may not be your mentor, but who have had really interesting experiences, just for some more communal sharing.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you both, Delaney and Angela. Great to, I think that we really wanted to highlight that there are those mentorship services available for students right from when they get onto campus. And again, great work that your teams are doing. Shirley, we've got a student who's asking about more information about how they find out, where do they get this access to all these design clubs and teams. So we'll pop in the chat the main page for all the list of clubs, the design teams that exist out of the Cedra Design Center. But Shirley, the reason why I want to ask you the next question is, how do students maybe go about navigating, picking between some of the card teams, the rocketry teams, the warrior homes? How some of them may seem kind of similar, some seem quite different. Do you have any advice in that regard?
Yeah, honestly, that is a difficult question. I think for everyone, it's going to, it'll vary a bit. I can speak to how I chose a design team to kind of stick with. Personally, I was looking at joining like the Formula Electric team in first year, rocketry team, the autonomous aerial vehicles team, and I ended up joining rocketry because they were basically, I got the chance to like cast some RNX, which is it's a short form for Richard Naka experimental ignition material, which we use for ignition. It's just a mixture of epoxy and potassium nitrate. And anyways, I found that really interesting and fun. It was like basically the first thing I ever did on a student team. And I thought the people were cool, so I ended up joining rocketry. But it'll really vary for everyone, and it just go with what you think you'll enjoy and what you think will make your undergrad experience better.
Perfect. We're taking notes here on the side. You're all sharing some genius advice here, which is great. So they're going to have to reach out to each one of you when if some of our students who are in the application cycle, they are submitting their applications as we speak. They'll be waiting for their offers and hopefully getting to join us in September. So these are the faces that everybody's going to want to remember to reach out to for further support once they're on campus as well. Carson, you mentioned you have some athletics experience, and one of our students in the audience wants to know a little bit more about getting involved in varsity teams, intramural teams. Do you have anything you'd like to share with them?
Awesome. I do not know a whole lot about the varsity team process. One of my good friends went through all of the tryouts to be on the varsity rugby team, and there is a lot of time that she had to put into that, and there's a lot of practice days for it. So being on a varsity team does take a lot of time. And usually for people who are on those teams, that is the main commitment that they have outside of school. Of course, if you find the time and if you find, if you feel like you're able to, there, of course, you're able to add more on top. I know people who do the same. For me, I like more of the casual, put into the intramurals. It gives me way more flexibility, especially within my day through school and whatsoever. Intramurals, start of the semester, create a team, see if you can join with a bunch of friends or just jump in a team with randos. And there's so many sports that happen every single term. I did ultimate frisbee intramurals, right? First 1A, and I joined a team of super competitive individuals from so many different programs, which was a lot of fun to kind of get to know a lot of different people and compete once a week. It's a good way to kind of give breaks in between classes and keep yourself from wasting away in your dorm.
Awesome. No, that's great to hear, Carson. And absolutely, intramurals, any form of athletics is a great way to de-stress, build community, and some of the other highlights that Carson that you just shared. In terms of varsity sports, the simplest thing for students to do, if that's an interest, you can, if you head over to Google, you're Googling Waterloo Athletics, depending on the team that you may be interested in, it's best to get directly in contact with the coach. That will be the easiest place to start, and you'll want to start that conversation as early as possible. Clayton, next question to you, and then we're going to have each of our panelists share some words of wisdom before we do wrap up our event today. So Clayton, the question for you is, as ACES is a new group, and a lot of students may not be aware of it just yet, what are the goals 2 years out, 3 years out? What do you hope this community is going to look like, and what can future Indigenous students look forward to if they choose to get involved in this group in particular?
All right. So as of right now, and as of the last couple of years, I've been I've came up with the idea that, before I even knew about AZES, I wanted to start some Indigenous group on campus, some student group. And at that point, I wasn't even aware that WISC had existed. Somehow I had just missed the fact that that existed. There's just so many things that go on campus. Sometimes you don't even know everything that's going on. And after a while, I did learn about AZES, I learned about WISC, and then I decided to start a chapter. And the number of Indigenous students in Waterloo is ambiguous. So I would really like to see the campus a couple of years from now where students who identify as Indigenous and want to get involved, or just want to know what resources are out there, are able to get that information easily and are able to have that community there available to them, for them to find people to hang out with, find a place that they feel comfortable, find a place where they could smudge, among other things. That's, I would say that's one of my biggest goals for a couple of years from now. But yeah, it is a work in progress. And what was it? Yeah, we're looking for we actually are looking for executive members for the group now. As I'll be graduating this year, we're looking for other people to take my place, as well as yeah, just it's going.
Awesome. Awesome. No, that's great to hear, Clayton. And it is sad that you are graduating this year, as well as some of our panelists that are with us. But I think you've created an important legacy on campus, and your goals of being able to create that safe space for Indigenous students is very remarkable to hear. So we're all rooting for the group, and we'll all do our best to promote it through our own personal channels. So on that note, I'm going to have everybody just to share a couple final words to our future students. Any final advice, anything else you want to highlight and leave with our audience today? So I'm going to go in the order of my Zoom cubes here, and I'm not sure if it's the same on everybody's end, but we'll start with Delaney to give us her final words of wisdom. What would you like to leave with our future students today about student life?
The biggest question of all. My one piece of advice is, remember that there is no criteria to be a perfect engineering student. Everyone's journey is going to be different. So find what you're passionate about and don't waste your time comparing yourself to others. Focus on the things that make you happy. Focus on the things that make you excited about your engineering degree, and never be afraid to try something new.
Perfect, perfect. We'll give our virtual round of applauses. Thank you so much, Delaney. Carson, for your final words.
Biggest thing for me was make sure you take the time that you need to. I could spend all day, every day studying, focusing on academics, and I would be able to get good grades if I worked on that, but I don't need to and I don't want to. Grades aren't my goal. I want to be able to understand my courses and get through the degree, but me having a pure 90% my entire way through is not my goal. I take that extra time for myself to have a life through school and have experiences and have goals and have fun moments. And that's the biggest thing, is figuring out where that balance is for yourself and making sure that you take it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carson. Also, a virtual round of applause going your way. Shirley, over to you next.
Yeah, I mean, on a very similar note to what Carson said, basically just take time for yourself and take care of yourself. Like, speaking from personal experience, like I've found that I am a lot more effective and efficient when I'm like generally eating and sleeping and getting exercise. So make sure that you take care of yourself, and there's a lot more to undergrad than just academics. So do stuff that you enjoy. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shirley. Over to Kate.
What I would say is it's okay if you don't have it figured out. Oftentimes I look around and it seems like a lot of my peers know what they want. They're very decisive, they have future goals, but it's nice to take the time to really figure out what you want. And it's okay if you don't know that yet. As well as high school students, enjoy while it lasts, enjoy the last break before university starts. And yeah.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, Kate. Also a round of applause for Kate. Dana, over to you.
I think my advice would be just to think about like what you want to get out of your university experience. You can jump around each term to different teams if you want, or you can try to join like 4 in one term and really overload your schedule. But think about like really why you're joining those and what you want to get out of it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dana. I hope somebody's taking notes here. We're going to produce a guidebook for our future students with all these helpful tips. Clayton, over to you. And then the final words will go to Angela.
All right. I'd say my word of advice is get to know people across outside of your program, outside of your faculty. I know ECE is a big faculty. You can get stuck just having everyone you know being in your class, and that's nice and all, but it's good to just get experience with just other classes. I know with design teams, you get to experience things from different disciplines, and turns out a lot of different disciplines are really closely related, like electromechanical things with motors and stuff with electric motors. I know I was on a design team for a little bit. There's a lot of similarities and overlap, and you just get to meet people. I know the smaller classes too, you can get a really tight knit group, but I think it's really good to just meet people who are into different things, just so they have that deep perspective of what else there is out there, to see if and you can learn about it from them and see if there's other things you'd like to get involved with.
Perfect. Wonderful advice, Clayton. And as well, a round of applause to you. And last but not least, Angela, for you get the final mic.
Yes, definitely, I would say don't be afraid of other people, don't be afraid of change, and don't be afraid of ignoring other people's expectations, in the sense that you know yourself best, know that you can stick to your own goals. Just because other people are doing different things that, maybe you feel intimidated by, it does not diminish you and your efforts at all. Everyone has a very different journey throughout university, so don't be afraid of, kind of stepping out of your comfort zone and becoming comfortable with change, because Waterloo Engineering, you're doing something different every 4 months, so you better learn to embrace that and become an adaptable person. I think it really helps teach you that. So yeah, don't be afraid, just be yourself and try your hardest, and I think that that's what's going to carry you.
Wonderful. Awesome words to end on. On this note, a big thank you once again to each of our panelists, including Alex, who we heard from earlier today, our team on the back end, and to everybody who joined us to hear our words, our stories, our experiences when it comes to Waterloo Engineering student life. We wish everybody a safe and healthy evening, and we hope to engage with you all super soon. And if you'd like to, we have another webinar happening tomorrow based on admissions. Thank you so much again. Have a great evening, and we hope to see you soon. We'll share our goodbyes, do our waves, and yeah, thank you so much, everybody.